first of all, thank you all for coming. I thought we would have a few more people, but this is perfect. This allows you guys to ask questions, and we'll go for probably, I don't know, 30 minutes or so, and then you guys ask questions, we'll go from there. But if you see something you have a question about, just you can stop me. So this is a presentation that I've done since about 2018. Back then, the difficulty back then was getting offers accepted against cash buyers. So we had a lot of cash buyers back then. So I mean, I've kind of updated it over the years, but this is what we have. So write the winning offer. So let me tell you about a client I have right now, because why this may be important. So I have a client right now. I approved them about a week and a half ago. They went shopping a week ago on the weekend, not this past weekend, but last weekend. They saw 3 houses. They put offers on 2 houses. And they were very flexible, these buyers. They put an offer in Hacienda Heights and another offer in Duarte. The offer in Hacienda Heights was $725,000. They asked, the house needs some work. They asked for $15,000 in closing costs. They got the house at $725,000 and $10,000 in closing costs. The seller countered. So they got the house. Well, on the flip side, there was another property in Duarte. That house was $750,000, and they offered $760,000. So 2 different houses, 2 different areas. One they got closing costs. The other one they had to pay $10,000 extra for the house. And that's actually the one they ultimately chose. We went under contract Friday, and they're signing all their disclosures today for the loan. So this is why it's so important part of this is going to be in how you interact with the listing agents, right? The agent that's working with these guys, he knew that these people over here, they'd probably give closing costs because the house needed a lot of work, and he talked about that stuff with the agent, and they didn't have any offers. This one over here, the one they ended up getting was a flip. So you know, when you're dealing with a flip, the seller is an investor, they want to maximize their dollar. So either way, 2 different houses, 2 different outcomes, right? But they got them both accepted in this market right now. So let's
I have a question.
Yes.
Both offers are accepted, right? So they only
they took the one they wanted.
But the deposit money, can they
No.
get the deposit money back?
They didn't put deposit. When they said, hey, they never signed the acceptance. So they got it accepted on the one in Hacienda Heights, but they never signed the acceptance. So they said, because they got both of them at the same time, so they accepted the one that they really wanted, the one for $760. So they never put a deposit into that property. They put an offer, got it accepted, and they countered and everything and said, this is what we'll take. So they just didn't sign it and complete it. So, okay, hold on here, let's see. We're gonna have to screen for Monique because this thing ain't working. Where is this thing plugged into? No. Wait for it. Give me 1 second, guys. I gotta do it professional.
When you receive mail here, is it automatically put in the cabinet?
It should be. Yeah. Okay. Unless it's at the front desk.
Yeah, sometimes she keeps it in the front. How are you? Good. You? Good.
So usually if you just move the cursor over on the presentation, you'll click it now, try it.
Yeah. Just around. I was doing that. I was just doing it on something on there.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay.
I know it's quirky.
Okay.
And so if you take a pause or something, you might have to do that again.
Okay. I won't take a pause. Okay. So, hey, what's up? You staying?
Yeah.
All right. Well, come on in. We just started.
Perfect.
So, do you have a strategy for writing winning offers for your buyers? So, understand this is part of what I was just talking about. Understand the mindset from the seller's perspective. How to make it easy, collaborative, predictable, and affordable. Build relationships with the other agent. So, here's what I mean by this. So, I've worked with a lot of agents over the years. Some will say, "Oh, we just submitted the offer through email," and like, okay, did you call the other agent? They didn't call the other agent. They didn't let the other agent know an offer was coming over. So, number one, understand like where are they coming from? What do they want, right? So I think from an agent's perspective, if you have a client that wants to put an offer, why not call that listing agent and just say, hey, my clients really like the house. We want to put an offer. What are some of the things the seller's looking for? Do they need time to stay in the property to find another property? Do they want a quick close? What are they looking for? And just kind of get a feel for it. So understand the seller, what the seller and listing agent wants. They want to sell the house for profit, of course. They want to close on their terms. Immediate certainty of closing. You know, people hate surprises, especially on closing day. Close on time and smooth. Move on to the next deal. So from an agent's perspective, listing agent, let's close this, let's be done, let's help the people, let's get out. So build relationship with the agent. So number one, when you're talking to the other agent, give honor, right? Like, hey, this is a great home. It looks good. The people have kept it up really well. Your photos were great. Stock and search for interest on social media. This is one of the easiest things to do. If you have a listing agent, you can always go onto Facebook, Instagram, whatever your preference is, and find out what is this listing agent about? What do they like? That makes it so easy nowadays. Just so when you call them, you have something possibly to talk about with them. And of course, you get more honey. You get more with honey than you do with vinegar. So, be kind. Make it easy for the listing agent. I can tell you on my end, I do cross qualifications for some of my other realtors. Meaning, when they get an offer submitted, they'll say, hey, can you check out this offer and check out their pre-approval? They'll send me the email that was sent to them. Sometimes there's 10 PDFs, 6 PDFs, all this stuff, right? So what this means, have everything organized in one PDF. So I have a few of my agents that I work with. They submit my pre-approval letter. So I'm going to tell you what my pre-approval letter looks like. Number one, it has the pre-approval letter. It has the letter with what they're qualified up to. The second page of the PDF usually has proof of funds. The third page of the PDF has the FICO scores, just the credit scores. Doesn't have a credit report, just the scores. And then after that, there's anywhere from 5 to 8 pages for the DU, the automated approval, right? So I put everything in one pretty package. Some of my agents will attach that at the front of when they submit the offer with all of the disclosures and everything, the purchase contract. They'll put my stuff at the top and then put the contract at the bottom. This way, when the agent scrolls, he looks at the pre-approval, then they get down to the actual offer. Or they'll put a PDF of just the purchase contract and my PDF. Either way, it's still a lot cleaner than 6 or 8 or 10 PDFs. So make it easy for them. Make sure that you're checking all your correct boxes, putting everything in the right space, right? So that's the key, is making it easy. So communication, this is huge. One of the biggest things that people complain about in this industry is people don't communicate. So have open communication. So communication is key. It sets the standard for a strong, smooth transaction. Have the lender call as soon as offer is sent. So here, and I'll give you an idea, and I'm going to show you a video right now too on this. But what I normally do, what I tell the agents, my agents I work with, when you submit your offer, CC me on the offer. This, and then put some verbiage in there that said, hey, here's our offer, whatever you're going to say, and then say, my lender is also CC'd on the offer, and feel free to reach out to my lender if he doesn't reach out to you first with any questions, right? So what I'll do, once the offer is accepted, I'll wait a little bit. I'll call the agent and just say, hey, I'm the lender that's working with the buyers that just put an offer on your 123 Main Street. The buyer is so-and-so, the agent is so-and-so that just submitted it. I just want you to know, we've done our due diligence on this with these buyers. We've looked at income, credit, assets. We've run it through our automated underwriting systems. We do not anticipate any challenges with this file at all. I just wanted to let you know that. Do you have any questions? And sometimes they'll ask questions, not all the time, but they'll say, hey, thanks for calling, whatever.
What kind
So-
of questions do they ask?
So sometimes those, like a good agent, because not everybody looks at the DU or the pre-approval letter, but I've had agents ask me like, hey, I see that their debt to income ratios are 42. You know, does that seem high to you? And I'll say, depending on the program, no, we have plenty of space to plenty of space to move in this. The debt to income ratios are good. Or I had one recently on a VA loan. The debt to income ratios are 62%. VA will allow you to go up to like 70 because they have a different qualification. So they said, hey, 62%, you know, is this gonna be a problem? No, I have an approval on this. As long as I have an approval, it's gonna be good. So that sometimes they'll ask, even though I put the information in there, do they have enough reserves? Well, yeah, the reserves are there. It's on page 2 of the PDF. Nothing really serious questions, just about, you know, that type of stuff.
Like debt to income ratio?
Yeah, they want to make sure that these people qualify. And I feel like as the lender, when you make that call, you're kind of assuring them like, hey, I'm not just a lender, I'm not just a guy that's just throwing in an offer without doing our due diligence. I'll give you another example. One of my realtor friends, he had a listing in Hemet. They got 5 offers on that. He sent me 3, one of them they just kicked out right away. He sent me 3 of the pre-approval letters from 3 of the offers. This was literally 3 weeks ago. And at the 3 that I looked at, I told him every single one of these pre-approvals has major red flags on it.
Oh.
The pre-approval letters we were in July. The pre-approval letters on 2 of them were from April. So their DU was ran in April. Rates were lower in April. You know, so I'm like, they didn't even take the time to update their pre-approval letter to July and run a new DU at the new rates. One of the guys had $20 a month in their payment calculation for homeowners insurance. Who's paying $20 a month for, you know, insurance, right? Who's paying $20 a month? Nobody, right? I mean, you're even $100 a month is getting tougher to get. So there was so many red flags, and we actually got on the phone with one of the lenders and the realtor, and they're like, okay, we'll send over an updated one, blah blah blah, and they sent it, and it still wasn't making sense. So needless to say, none of those 3 offers, they didn't accept any one of those 3. There was a 4th one that they did accept. Everything looked good there, so they accepted that one. But that's, you know, that's something where I can help with realtors and just kind of, and I'm not saying like, hey, if you get 15 offers, send all 15 offers. But if you get 3, you know, if you have 2 or 3 or 4 good offers that you feel are good, I'll look at them and I'll say what makes sense in this approval and what doesn't. So the other thing is, if when you're the agent submitting the offer, if you feel like, be honest, share pain, can't hide the issues, right? So, hey, when you submit the offer, hey, we have this guy, you know, just want you to know we're using down payment assistance. Here's the reason why. Or just want you to know that their credit scores may look low. Here's the reason why. Now, these are items I'm going to cover when I call the agent. I'm going to let them know what's, like, from my point of view. And over-communicate. Text, email, and video. So, there's never anything wrong with over-communicating when it comes to this stuff. Now, so what I do is I'll call the agent, and then I'll send a video afterwards. If the agent doesn't answer, I'll send a video anyway. So let me show you this. Wait for it.
John, how often does the pre-approval letter need to be updated.
I think it should be updated, depending on the buyer, like how often they're getting out there. So I would say let's say they go shopping in June, right? And they put an offer in, like June 15th, they put an offer July. That's fine, 2 weeks, right? But if you're 3 months out, you should really have it updated. And even a month, just because a lot can happen in a month, right? And all it is if you're working with a lender, you call up the lender and say, hey, we're going to put an offer. The letter I have is from June 15th to it's July 22nd now. Can we just get the letter updated and a new DU based on where we are today? I mean, it
And
takes.
do they have to run everything all over again?
Basically, we open up our file, and on me, what I do on the PDF, it's just a matter of editing the date. Just
Oh.
edit the date, which you can also edit the date, but running the actual DU takes 5 minutes. So it's, for me, I'd rather have when they're putting offers, I'd rather them contact me, and I could update that for them. So here's what I do. I call the listing agent to confirm that we have great buyers and ask if they have questions. Send a video to put a face with a name. Okay, so let me see. So I want to show you this video real quick. This is actually one, I just closed this loan 2 weeks ago. It was a VA loan. The house was listed at 700. We got they took our offer at 740. So this was $40,000 over asking. Here, let's see.
Hey Mason, John Torrijos here. Just wanted to reach out to you and say thank you so much for taking my call this evening.
How do you put this thing out? Hold on, guys.
They are great credit, great income, great assets. Do not anticipate any challenges.
This is your video message to the selling agent?
To the listing agent. Can you guys hear it?
Mm-mm.
Barely?
I can't hear you.
Back here.
Those questions, but most importantly, hope to get into escrow with you guys. Have an amazing night. We'll talk soon.
Alright guys, so we'll just do this one again real quick. Sorry about that.
To be with the VA loan program, please reach out to me. I'll be more than happy to help.
Alright, here we go.
Hey Mason, John Torrijos here. Just wanted to reach out to you real quick. Want to say thank you so much for taking my call this evening regarding your 1335 Winston property for Aaron and Meredith Struth. Just wanted to reiterate our conversation that we have done our due diligence with these VA buyers. They are great credit, great income, great assets. We do not anticipate any challenges closing a VA loan in 30 days or less with these clients. So just wanted to reiterate that to you. Thanks again for taking some time with me. And of course, if you have any questions regarding these buyers or anything that has to do with the VA loan program, please reach out to me. I'll be more than happy to answer those questions. But most importantly, hope to get into escrow with you guys. Have an amazing night, and we'll talk soon.
How do you make that video?
I use a system called BombBomb. Oh gosh, what did I do here?
B-O-N?
B-O-M. It's B-O-M-B. Bomb. It's the word bomb twice. B-O-M-B, B-O-M-B. What the?
Is that a paid service?
Yeah, I pay about $600 a year for it. But what it does is
Oh, that's it? Wow.
Just to,
Yeah.
no, but what it does, the beauty of it is it compresses your videos, so your video can never be too big when you text, because I text a lot too, videos, so it can never be too big for texting. It has a ton of templates, like happy birthday templates, all these different things. What the hell is happening here? Oh, this makes it so difficult for me, because I don't know what.
Are you trying to go back to the slideshow?
Yeah, I don't know where I'm. Do you see an X up there somewhere?
Tabs up
You
there?
probably have to pull down the window and then go back into the slideshow.
Yeah, it's not.
Oh, it's up there on the left.
Over here?
Yeah, like way up in the left corner.
Right there,
Right
That's
there?
The back. No, that's the back.
that's
button.
the back.
I can't see. Cause it's not showing on there.
No, I think you have to go a little bit more to the left.
Okay. If you see it, point me, cause it's not showing
Yeah,
on
keep
this
going.
screen.
Like, there you go. I
Right
think that's
there.
your PowerPoint right there.
Oh, so I'm in the PowerPoint.
Yep.
Yeah.
Sorry guys, this is nuts. Okay. Handwritten letter with offer to tell. Now, I know that there's been some talk about this and some controversy, so it's up to you whether you use it or don't use it. I don't know what they say here, if you should use it or not. I was working at another Keller Williams office, and they were saying that you should, they don't recommend you do the handwritten letter to the seller. I will tell you,
Some of them say in the MLS, no love letters.
yeah, it's
It's
to
on the
me,
form now, on the contract.
it says no, you can't do it, or on the contract it says don't do it.
Yeah, I think
Yeah, I thought I
Kelly-
read somewhere
Kelly
that
went
we
over
can't do
that.
it.
It was,
Okay,
it's in the
so-
contract now.
I can't believe they made that like wrong, you know, because.
That is so crazy
It is.
because I know that all the deals that I've actually done where there was a multiple bidding offer, my offers got accepted because of the letter.
You know,
I say do the video now.
I mean,
The contract does not say anything about
Yeah,
video.
so in regards to the video, I do videos as well where I'll tell the agent, hey, at the end, I'll just kind of I'll say everything. I'll say, please feel free to share this with your seller, so your seller sees that we've done our due diligence. I don't know if they do or don't, but you know, to Rashawn's point, I have a VA client that we closed a few years ago. He was in multiple offers on a house. The seller took his offer because the seller was also a veteran. You know, so veteran to veteran. You know, I mean,
Was it a VA loan?
yeah, it was a VA loan.
Oh, okay.
And-
So, but
and
he didn't have to write a letter or anything?
he did.
Oh,
He
He did write a letter, and it's letting him know that I'm also a veteran. You know, so my point is, I mean, I just think it's crazy that they do that. So
Some agents are actually putting in their listing, we will not entertain any letters.
right.
yeah.
I will tell you, I have agents that still do it. But I'm not telling you to do it. I'm just saying that it's your choice. I mean, unless it's totally illegal or whatever, which makes
I do letters with leases,
Yeah.
and it's just like an introduction to the family. Hi, my name is Clara, and this is my husband, and this and that. We have, the reason we're moving is because the landlord is selling, like, just
Right.
and they love the letter.
Right. I think it goes a long way. Imagine a family. So this house that the ones that the Stroops just bought. So the kids were selling it because the parents lived in that house for over 60 years. Okay, so different scenario though, but now it was under a trust. But I've had scenarios where a family was living there. They raised all their kids moved out. Now they were selling the house to downsize. They accepted a buyer who they saw was with a letter that was a husband and a wife, kids. They knew they were just starting their family, and they wanted them to experience the same thing they experienced. You know, I mean, how is that so wrong, right?
No.
But anyway, I'm not gonna keep. It is what it is. So this is a good one. Now let's say you have a contingent buyer. How hard is it to get an offer accepted right now? If your buyer needs to sell their property, it's tough, right? So number one, you have to fully approve your buyer. So as a lender, we would make sure that buyer is fully approved. Shorter contingencies except for the sale, right? Here's where it gets really good. If you're listing the house and if you're gonna list their house and they're putting offers, let's say you have a buyer already for your client's sale, the house they're selling. Have that buyer have that buyer cross-qualified with your lender. So let me set this up for you. You have a buyer that wants to buy, but they're also selling their house. Now, you're in control. You have the listing. You can tell that other lender or that other agent, you know what, we want to accept your buyer, we like the offer, we want to accept it, but we're going to have our lender cross-qualify that buyer. Now, not to steal that buyer, not to do anything else but to say, I want my lender to look at that package and see if they do in fact qualify, because remember, our buyers, our sellers are now going under contract on another property. This is gonna be a domino effect if your buyer doesn't perform.
So is that a hard credit run?
No, we don't run credit.
So what do you,
A cross qualification is, we talk to the lender, I ask the lender some questions and say, hey, I wanna see the credit report, I wanna see their income documentation. I wanna see more than what you're just telling me on paper.
so is that different from what you mentioned earlier where the 3 offers were sent over to you?
It's-
You looked at it?
It is different. It's a little bit different in the sense that I'm probably gonna dig a little bit deeper to make sure that, hey, this guy looks as good as his lender says he does. You know, so, and you know what, when, in this market, when people are putting offers, I see it all the time. I have to do these cross qualifications too, where my buyers put an offer, as much as I hate it, sometimes the listing agent will request that we do a cross qualification with their lender. So I have to send document, I call the client and say, look, they're considering your offer, they want me to send them certain documents, are you okay with that? And they always say yes, because what's their motivation? They want to buy the house, right? So when you're the listing agent, you're in control. So you say, I want my lender to look at their loan package before we move forward. And 9 out of 10 times they're going to say yes. So, and have the conversation with that lender as well, that the current lender, that says, convey the other buyer's proof. So you talk to that agent and say you want to talk to the lender as well, to their lender. So now you have their lender saying, this guy's qualified. You have me saying, hey, I looked at everything, he looks good. Or I'm going to say, here's some red flags you want to be careful of. These are questions you might want to ask. So now, once you have this, when you submit your offer,
I'm sorry, so if we were to call you and say, we say that we want to cross-qualify the buyer, right?
yes,
And when you bring up the red flags, are those red flags, do you communicate that back to the other
I
loan
would
officer?
talk to the loan officer, but as an agent, it's up to you to discuss that with your agent. I'll let you know, like, hey, these are the red flags I came up with. You talk to the agent and say, hey, I had my lender look at it, this is what he came up with, this is what he thinks. So, but I would definitely communicate with the other lender to
Okay.
see. But it's not really for me to get I mean, I could, but it's not for me to get involved with the agent-to-agent interaction.
No, I understand.
Yeah,
I
so,
just
but-
didn't know if you actually follow up and say, these are red flags that might.
Yeah, I would do it with the lender and then give him the opportunity to explain it first. So if I told you that there was red flags and I've already spoken to the lender, that means these are the red flags, this is what he told me, or these are the red flags and he had nothing to say about it.
So that would kind of be like the situation that I would probably be in like 3 months with that one family. Like, so you would tell me what the red flags were if I got their listing, or when I get the listing.
Yeah, that listing.
Then you would tell me what the red flags of the other lender are.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Okay.
You know, and it's not that I'm better than anybody or anything like that, but I've been doing this a long, long time, and I could look at it and just looking at a file, like when numbers don't make sense, they jump out at me, you know, because I've been doing it so long. You could tell when something doesn't make sense. So the whole point to this is, now you go back to the communication part. When you are going to put an offer on a property, you call that listing and you say, hey, my buyers love your property. We're going to put an offer. I want you to know it's going to be a contingent offer, but here's the thing. I've had my lender look at that loan package of the buyer that's buying my client's house. So we're pretty confident that we're not going to have any challenges closing on our end, and it should not affect closing on this end. So I think that's better than just saying, hey, I have a contingent buyer with no plan. You know, that if you take the time to do that, I think that's going to carry a lot more weight than, because, and then of course, as a lender, I'm going to talk to that listing agent and say, hey, not only are our buyers pre-approved, this is what they look like, but I did look at the buyers that are buying their house, and everything seems to be in order. I've talked to the other lender. I think it just takes it to that next level of you've really done your homework. You're not just hoping that your sale closes and that, you know, because you mess that up, you don't know the people, the house you're buying, they could be buying another property. So there's a lot, there could be 3 properties involved here. So
It's like a double check, huh?
yeah,
Just make sure everything's going
yeah,
through smoothly.
I think this one tactic alone, if you have a contingent buyer, could really make a difference in getting an offer accepted or not,
Yeah.
you know?
Hold on, John, let me take a screenshot.
So, get your client condition approved early, show the seller your client is a serious buyer. It gives the seller peace of mind that the deal will go through, strengthens your client's offer, shows your client is not wasting the seller's time. Sellers care about themselves as buyers do, and why pre-qualification as well. So David, this is just, we had a conversation last week on this with your guy that you're talking about.
Mhm.
He wanted to go look at houses, and you know, when you called me, I was like, that's kind of weird, because we haven't seen any documents. The guy, the story that the guy told me, you know, so I think they just weren't ready to do it yet, right?
Yeah.
And if you were to go and do that and put an offer, I mean, you wouldn't put an offer,
No,
but,
yeah.
but it wouldn't make sense.
Yeah, it wouldn't make sense.
It wouldn't make sense. So that's why it's always important, get them conditionally approved early.
And that's where I kind of had that conversation with them, like when because they were sending me like a whole bunch of addresses, and they're like, I like this one, this one, this one. I'm like, all right, but we don't even know like if you're gonna be like a condition or
Right.
a traditional loan or a V8. What is it? Or I mean
Not the FHA.
FHA, and like I was just telling them like there's different terms amounts, and then we don't even know what your price range is, and then they're like, oh, okay, now I understand. Like I can't just put in an offer just because
Yeah.
I like it. Like
Yeah.
I need to know what your
Hey, the
loan
guy was
approval's gonna be.
the guy was nice to talk to, but
Yeah.
we don't know really where the numbers
Yeah,
are.
exactly.
All right, so set, and this is when you're dealing with your buyer, right? Set expectations before a house is selected. Submit an offer if 80% sure, 100% is not. What that means is, before you even take your buyer shopping, set some expectations with them on what to expect. Hey, just so you know, what are some of your non-negotiables? Like, hey, if the house doesn't have a pool, we're not gonna buy it. Whatever it is. But if they feel like they see a house and it checks 8 out of 10 of their boxes, encourage them. Like if you think this is gonna work, put an offer. You know, it's not gonna hurt to put the offer, because you don't have to complete it. But if you feel like you want to do it, you should do it. Shorten loan contingencies. That's excuse me. That's on the lender side, of course. You know, we can get loan approvals in as little as 7 to 10 days. Like for instance, we just submitted a loan today. We just got the contract Friday. This is the one I was telling you about in LA. We just got the contract Friday. We got disclosures out today, submitting the loan to underwriting today. I'll probably have approval tomorrow or Wednesday, but more than likely tomorrow. So altogether, we've only been under contract 4 days. Friday, Saturday, Sunday, Monday, 3 days. Just make sure they're ready. They have to know that, hey, you're gonna have to, if you get your offer accepted, you're gonna have to have your earnest money. These are some things here. You're gonna have to pay for your deposit. You're gonna have to pay for home inspection and appraisal. Right? Appraisals are always paid up front. Explain repairs, warranty, comps, closing costs. So it's just a matter of setting your buyer up with the proper expectations, so that when you go and look at houses in this low inventory market, they're not taking 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 days to think about it, because as we know, you don't always have that kind of time. And it's not about forcing them or rushing them. It's just setting those expectations early. Hey, back in the olden days, you could look at a house and say, we're going to think about it for a week. You know, today, you just can't do that. If you feel like it's close, you have to jump on it. Lead the client. Give them confidence that you have a system for getting their offer accepted. And part of that is you let them know what you're doing, and I let them know on my end what I'm doing to help them get their offers accepted. You know, you can have testimonials of recent successes. Explain the urgency with multiple offers in the low inventory market. Guide them through the process of each step and communicate with daily updates. That's you know, as much as we're confident in what we do out there, a lot of times they're scared, they're nervous, they don't know what to expect, what's next. You know, so when I'm talking to a first-time home buyer versus a move-up buyer or an investor, totally different conversations between all three of them. First-time home buyer takes quite a bit longer. A move-up buyer, you're just kind of reiterating some things. An investor, it's all about dollars, right? I mean, so all those conversations are different.
What's move up?
Move up is you sell a home and you're buying a different home.
Okay.
So you have a home to sell and so you're already experienced. You're already an experienced home buyer. Get your offer in first. Now this isn't as big of a deal anymore, but if you know you want to you're going to put an offer, get it in as quick as possible. I've had agents tell me, well, they're going to be entertaining offers. They're not going to look at them until Tuesday. So it kind of takes the urgency away. I think, hey, submit the offer as soon as you know you're going to submit an offer. If it's Friday, submit it. Let them know you're serious. You know, short contract time frames show that you're serious. Make your client's purchase offer stand apart with a quick closing. Offer of 21 days or less. Seller will not have to make their next payments. These are some of the benefits to the seller. They can receive the funds from the sale faster. Makes them competitive with cash buyers. Present the contract in person. This isn't done too often anymore, but this was done previously, where you tell the listing agent, I would like to meet with you and your client, and I want to be the one that shares the enthusiasm of what makes our offer strong, you know. Because if you have a listing agent who has 10 offers, you know, they say, hey, this one's good, not good, whatever. But if you can actually present in person, I think chances go up quite a bit because they're going to see your enthusiasm about your offer. A quick closing option, extra time to vacate at no cost to the seller. So let me give you this one thing here. I've used this several times over the years with agents. So you put an offer on a house, close in 21 days, but you say, hey, and you talk to the listing agent, of course, you find out what their needs and wants are for the seller. Say, look, we're willing to close in 21 days or less. We're willing to give you 10 days to get out of the property instead of the traditional 3 or whatever, close of escrow plus 3 or whatever it is. And at no charge to the seller. Now, imagine, and this is a real world scenario. Imagine a couple with a brand new baby who just, they put their house up, timing was off, but they had this baby and they wanted to sell their home, but they were nervous about it. So we offered this actually, 21 days, and you guys could stay there for, I think in their scenario it was 15 days. They were able to stay an additional 15 days in the house without having to do a rent back, without having to pay any extra, and that's what got the offer accepted. You know, they didn't want to feel rushed. You know, so that's a big deal. Big earnest money deposit. So I'll give you 2 scenarios. Have a client that was buying a house in Wrightwood. They actually just canceled on it because the house needed so much work. Their deposit was $4,000. The house was $429,000. So a little under 1% on a $429,000. $4,000. Compared to this other offer that we just got accepted in Duarte, $760,000 purchase. They're putting a $15,000 deposit. So that just shows like, hey, you're not afraid to part with some of your money up front to tie it up for 30 days if you're not serious. So big deposits also help. Short, and this other one's short inspections. You know, that's a given. You know, get all the inspections done as quick as possible. Time limit on the contract. Show the seller your client can close fast and on time. In some cases, an escrow can close in as little as 10 days. That can happen, but everything has to fall into place. Choose a time limit that makes the seller feel comfortable and communicate to the seller. Doesn't mean they have to move in 10 days. So let me give you a scenario. Let's say you had a seller, like you're like, you know the seller wants out of the house. And you say, hey, what if we close in 10 or 12 days? or 14 days. And again, you go back to the other thing. You don't have to move in those 10 or 12 days. We're just gonna close, you're gonna get your money, you're gonna be ready to have your money for your next purchase there. You know, it's just another way to entice a seller to accept your offer, right? Let's see. And allow the seller to, this is pretty common, we see this nowadays pretty regular. Allow the seller to lease back up to 2 months. Oftentimes they just need a little more time to relocate, and lease back is a great option. So this is actually good because on a lease back, your buyer can actually get money, you know, like most of the time it's to cover the mortgage payment, right? So lease backs are good, and you can go up to 60 days without it being a problem for a loan. Let's see. We do see this more often. I just closed one last week where they actually had a 60-day lease back, but the seller's probably going to be out in 30 days. Cross quality. So this is separate than all of that, but this is something I wanted to share with you guys. That, like I said earlier, if you have listings and you get an offer in, and you need some help going through those pre-approvals, I'm more than happy to help do that with a cross qualification. Looking at the approval documents that they've got sent you, talking to the lender, and just kind of making sure that you know you have a good feeling about that buyer on your listing. Wanted to remind you guys we're licensed in 15 states: Arizona, California, Colorado, Florida, Idaho, Montana, New Jersey, Oregon, Pennsylvania, South Carolina, Tennessee, Texas, Utah, Washington, and Wyoming. So we can lend in any of those states.
Is Nevada there?
Nevada's not there. Nevada's a tough state.
Oh.
You have to actually have a physical location there.
Oh,
And I actually spoke to a guy this morning before I came here. He wants to buy. He has a house in New York that he wants to refinance, and he wants to purchase a home here as an owner-occupied home. But we don't lend in. It's so hard to get approved in New York as well. New York just makes it so difficult. I don't know why, but there's not a lot of lenders that will actually lend in New York, you know. But in any case, so that is everything. Thank you for attending.
thank you.
Thank you for your time, and of course, if you have any questions, I can answer some additional questions.
Could you send us this presentation? Can you email it?
I can. Excuse me. If you want, let me give you. Yeah, because I know I have cards for everybody, but send me. You want to text me? Text me that, or actually, email me. Email me at john@team Torrijos, just that you're requesting the PowerPoint, and I can send it to you.
John, since you see agreements all the time, all day long, what makes a good agreement when you're like, oh, this agent really knows what they're doing, or is there red flags where you're like, oh, this is a new agent, I can tell?
That's a great question. It's usually it's in how the offer is presented, right? Like they're not sloppy. They've made sure to check all the correct boxes. They're putting certain information in the correct spots. So, and I would just tell you what I do. Before I call a listing agent, I always look them up. And when I mean look them up, I'll just Google their name. I want to see what pops up on those agents. You should do that too when you're working with other agents. Just get a feel for them. And but when you talk to an agent, when I talk to an agent, you can sometimes tell that they're new. New doesn't discount them from not knowing what they're doing, because if they're getting the correct help, that's great. But if they're at a small brokerage and they're just not getting the help, you know it's probably going to be a tough transaction. But I think it's just in the way how they present themselves, the confidence in their offer, the way they do their contracts, and how they answer the questions that I ask, or is there anything I can help with?
What are some of the questions you ask?
When, like during what process?
well, just to follow up, to piggyback on her question,
Like-
that you asked, when you asked.
So first of all, when I'm talking to agents, I'll ask, like, mostly it's about questions about the buyer. Like, do you have any questions about the buyer? Because that's usually my first interaction with them. And is there, do you see anything there that you feel like might concern you? Number one, I'll ask them. They don't ask me a lot of questions most of the time, but I'm asking questions about, telling them, not asking questions, I'm telling them about the buyer's pre-qualification. We've done our homework. Do you have any questions for me? Most of the time they don't ask a lot of questions, like except what I said earlier, just like on the
Debt to income.
yeah, they're asking like debt to income ratios. Have I seen their taxes? Have I seen their credit? So some of the questions I ask, it just has to do with the transaction there, like. And if I talk to my agent that put the offer, I'll talk to them first and say like, hey, you submitted the offer. What was your feel for the agent? Because I think the more you know, it's just the more advantage you have. So when I talk to them, if there's something they didn't ask, like what is the seller's motives? Are they going to be in the house? Do they need to be in the house for a certain amount of time? Are they moving? Are they moving out of state? Is it a trust? Some of that type of stuff. Oh goodness, I was just going to say, there was one other thing I was going to say on that. I lost it. Sorry.
Thank you, that was very helpful.
Anything else? Nothing?
I haven't put an offer yet, but when I do, would you be able to, like, if I have a question?
Of course. Just like the one you had, remember you had the one,
Yeah, I have
Yeah.
a pre-approval.
Yeah, you have
from
pre-approval
a different
some-
lender.
yeah, from a different lender. I mean, if obviously if you're working with a buyer that's already comes with their lender, you want to make sure that you talk to that lender to make sure that they are in fact approved. Like, tell me about their scenario, just so you have more knowledge when you go into it, right? I think in that guy's case, remember we were looking at it, they didn't have any money.
No,
Like-
they didn't have, I found a lease for him, so he's gonna lease for a whole year and save some more money. He had
Yeah.
$7,000, that's it.
But the lender said they had money or they were using a program or
They were
something.
using some type of
Right.
program that wasn't even available anymore.
Right, I think that's right. I think it was the Dream for All. program.
Yeah.
Now let me tell you about that program, Dream for All. So we just got notification last week. They're saying, Cal Haffa has said they're bringing it back probably in the fall or a little bit after that, and they're going to have another $200 million available for that program. Now, just to put in perspective, when it came out in April, there was $300 million available. All the money was gone in like 8 business days.
How?
People jumped on it.
It was 20% down payment. They were giving 20% to people, and we don't know this for sure, but everybody thinks that a lot of the people that were already under contract at the time switched their loan programs.
Cause it's so fast.
Yeah, good, because the money went so fast, and that's probably going to happen again. $200 million is probably only going to go 5 or 6 days. I mean, that's the reality.
How do you, as a loan officer, get visibility to when that's coming around the corner? You said sometime in the fall.
Oh,
You
we
guys
get emailed. We get emailed from Cal Haffa. Cal Haffa.
Is that a month in advance, a week in advance?
You don't know.
The day before?
They sent us an email. We got an email last week, and basically what the email says, great news, Dream for All is coming back. We've allocated another $200 million from the California budget, and you can expect to see something from it in the fall. That's the email. And
What's the credit score that they should be?
on that one, if I remember, I want to say it was 640. I don't remember exactly, but I think it was 640 and above. So, and the rate was very competitive on that, which you don't always see on the down payment assistance programs. But that's supposed to be coming. I will tell you, I spoke to so many people with that program, and not one of my clients. It took up a lot of time talking with qualifying people for that, because the phones were just ringing off the hook for every lender, and I didn't get one of my clients get an offer accepted. Yeah, on that.
Because they're on that program?
Yeah, no, not because they were on the program, because the money was gone, because it went so fast. And I think the ones that truly benefited were the ones that were already
In
under
contract.
contract and, you know, maybe had just gone under contract or something, it was easy to switch their own program. And-
Would you recommend someone to use that program if they need to, or if they have the option not to use it?
I recommend it if it's gonna help them get in the house now. I mean, you are gonna have to pay back the 20% that they're giving you, plus a revenue share of your profit, or a share of your profit.
That's
So-
upon selling the property, right?
Yes, or paying it off, because when you pay it off, you still have to pay it back. But I mean, you're talking 30 years down the road, right? But I always think, like, if you can buy a house without using any of the down payment assistance, every down payment assistance has some sort of string attached. But if you can buy I'll give you an example. The people that were buying this home in Wrightwood that they just canceled on that contract, they were selling their home. They got into their home with the Cal half a down payment assistance program, the regular down payment assistance program. Had it not been for that program, I think they got in 2018, 17 or 19, I forget exactly. They wouldn't have been able to net almost $60,000 out of their house.
Can people borrow against the property if they're on that program?
No,
They cannot?
no, you have to, so the Dream for All, they did make a stipulation that said, we will let you refi one time if rates go down, when rates go down. But because they're not gonna let you pull out money or do anything like that, they were gonna let you refi, because rates were like 6 1/8, I think, at that time. And if rates go to 4 or 4.5 or 5, they were going to allow people to refinance to lower their payment, but only one time. So, but you couldn't pull money out.
So it's
you
very,
just-
it's very strict.
Yeah, and they're giving a lot of money, you know, that's just the only thing is that I just think if you have the funds to do it, you should just do it on your own, and you're not tied to anything. But I've
Even
worked.
for the teachers, incentives, or I don't even know if is there any teachers?
That I don't know. I don't know of any teacher programs or
Uh-huh.
anything separate. I just know that like the down payment assistance program itself
Yeah.
there's different ones that are helpful.
This flyer, you're referring to the 25,000 closing cost credit from the seller, right?
No, so we have a lender that we work with, one of our banks, that they have money allocated to give up to a $25,000 credit. Okay, so it doesn't mean 25,000. What it means is, so let's say you're buying a house 5% down, a $500,000 house, 5% down. It's called interested party contributions. You can get 3% from the seller to cover that. So, or anywhere. That's a maximum of $15,000. So on a $500,000 home with 5% down, the max you could get is $15,000. So on that particular program, we would be able to give the buyer $15,000 in closing costs help if we went through a specific lender that we work with. It's a
And do you have
specific
Is that
bank.
at a
You don't
higher
pay that
interest rate?
Interest rates are pretty comparable. It's just that they have this money that they have every year that they allocate for that.
Well, cause to your point earlier, nothing's free, it's
No, no.
always with the string
Yeah,
attached.
That-
That's
that-
why I asked.
On that particular program, it's an actual bank that we work with, and this bank had like, I forget how many millions of dollars allocated for this, and they do it every year.
Do they have a limit on the list price, the purchase price?
There's no limit on actually, hold on, I'm sorry. There is a limit, it has to be conforming limits under 726,200.
726?
Yeah, yep. And there are income limits, but for Riverside and San Bernardino, I think it was like 173,000 on the income, or 178, something like that. So, but on the other, you are correct, on the other programs, there are strings attached. This particular program, they get to 25,000, as soon as the loan closes, that loan is forgiven. Like, I mean, it's basically a grant, it's just free money. It doesn't always work out because this particular lender, we could do FHA and conventional, but conventional, you know, it wants good credit scores, you know, like you don't have to have a 740, but your pricing is better, just like on a regular conventional loan if it's a 740. FHA, although we do it for FHA, it hasn't, it seems that their market is not really strong, this bank is not really strong on FHA. So that's even though we can do it, it's probably better suited for a high credit conventional borrower.
Okay, thank you. Thank you so much.
Anything else, guys?
Thank you, John.
All right, guys. Well, thank you so much for coming out. I hope this was helpful, and of course, if you have questions, you need anything, reach out to me.
Thank you.
And tell your